It's wedding Q&A time. I'm very excited for this. I have got, thanks to you lovely lot in the comments of my last video and also in the poll I put up on Instagram, lots and lots of questions to get through. I've got them all written here and I'm very excited to work my way through them. I'm going to try and do it as swiftly as possible because gauging by the number of questions, this video could easily be like 3 hours long if I was to really go into depth on everyone. So, without further ado, let's get into the questions. Number one, what was your favourite part of the day? Oh, that's really hard. I'm trying to do this just without planning. I'm just reading the questions and answering authentically. I think for me, the magical moment was walking down the aisle. And that's maybe really generic, but actually the song that I walked down the aisle to was Here I Am by Bryan Adams from the film Spirit. It's a song that means a lot to me. It was just such a magical moment, like all my girls, and we walked down and they headed out before me and I got to the top of the aisle right at the crescendo of the song and it just felt so right and the lyrics were so exactly what I wanted to have said in that moment and it just felt like, I don't know, something from a movie, to be honest. It just felt amazing. And seeing Andrew at the end of the aisle, and he was definitely tearing up a little bit, and just the smile on my face, like this huge beam, and all of the people that were turned around, and all of our friends and our family and our loved ones just turning around and smiling, and it was just a really magical moment. So I actually think that was probably my favourite, although it's hard because there was so many good parts of the day. Number two, what was your first dance song? The first dance was to Everything by Michael Bublé. It actually was quite difficult to pick a first dance. I think mainly because our music taste is not very first dance-y. We quite like sort of R&B and rap music, and we have quite an eclectic taste in music, but a lot of those songs are not first dance songs. But when we heard this, we were kind of going through songs and it just really struck a chord with both of us. And yeah, it was a really lovely moment of the day. So there's just so many good bits, but the first dance was so good. We actually put together a very loose choreographed thing the day before. I'm not kidding you, the day before. We sort of suddenly went, oh, should we just practice? And we were just swaying for the minute before everyone would go to get called on, like practiced in our kitchen. And we were suddenly like, it's actually quite awkward to just sway together for a minute, especially with everyone watching. Like, it was awkward enough in our kitchen, let alone surrounded by all those people. So then we suddenly thought, right, we need to put something together. And it was very simple, with a few turns and then some flamboyant arms and things. But yeah, it was just good fun, and it just went really well. It was so good. We did this bit towards the end where I sort of come out and I like turned into Andrew, and then we lean together and like my leg comes out. It sounds really fancy. It was very simple, but it actually looked very effective, and everyone was like, "Whoa!" So it was really good. So yeah, that was first dance. Next question is, what cake did you decide for your wedding day? So my auntie actually made our cake, and it was incredible. We sort of kept it very open. I told her that I wanted basically colour and flowers. That's what I wanted. And beyond that was quite open. She sort of asked us for some flavour inspiration. We basically had 4 different cakes, one of which was a cherry and chocolate one. We had sort of a classic white chocolate raspberry. We had a lemon as well. And then we also had like salted caramel one. Which was really good. They all were, actually, to be honest. Every single one of them was so good, and I'm super grateful to my aunt for making it, because one, it tasted amazing, but those flowers were actually handmade with like fondant icing, and they were so beautiful. There were quite a few people in the day when I mentioned this, they were like, what? We thought they were real flowers. I was like, no, go and have a look. Like, they are hand iced. It is mind blowing how delicate and how beautiful they are. And we've actually kept the cake toppers because they're just stunning. So yeah, that was the cake. Next question. Did you struggle with society's idea of losing weight for your wedding day? This is something I actually spoke about in a video a few weeks, or no, actually probably would have been a few months ago now, about kind of little career update. And the wonderful thing is, no, not at all, in any way, shape, or form. Was I aware of tones of this messaging from different people in different settings, like dress appointments and stuff like that? Yes. Did it impact me personally? No, not at all. And you know what? Actually, it was joyous. Like, truly joyous. It really upsets me to think that so many brides out there spend so much time and so much mental and physical energy prior to one of the most magical days of your life worrying about that and being pulled into that diet culture message of you need to look this way and you need to do this before your wedding and this is how it should be. And it's really sad. I do think my experience of recovering from an eating disorder, just everything I've learned through that process about trusting my body and letting it do its thing and honouring its hunger and just allowing my body to be in the place that it wants to be, has definitely put me in a position of extra resilience against that kind of stuff. Or certainly just, I don't know, I think I'm just primed. I'm just like, no, I just absolutely don't engage in that at all. But I can definitely see how people can get pulled into that with the messaging. But no, in short, absolutely I did not struggle with that at all. And I am so grateful for the fact that I didn't, because it's so sad that people spend time and energy in the run up to such a magical day worrying about that, where actually I was really able in the entire way of every step of it to just be myself, to enjoy, to get involved at all the different points with all of the celebrations and the parties and the food that comes with that, and to just turn up on the day myself completely. I wasn't turning up to my wedding hungry because I had restricted my body for X many weeks prior to it. Like, no, I just turned up and we ate croissants in the morning that we'd made in the oven, and when I enjoyed all the food all the way through the day, and the cake and the pizzas and the feast that we had, and it was just free. Next one is, how did you feel about your guests being focused on you throughout the day? This is a good question. I am not someone, contrary to what might come across with me doing a YouTube channel, I'm not actually someone who's really keen on being centre of attention. And I was a little nervous about this, but actually the whole vibe of the day was so full of love and joy that although I was aware that Andrew and I were sort of centre of attention, it just felt so warm and loving and caring and happy that it didn't feel like a big deal at all. So I was a little bit worried about that, especially things like falling over walking down the aisle, or tripping over in my heels at any point of the day, or just those things that probably aren't going to happen. But because, you know, I'm not someone who wears heels and I wore heels on the day, I was a bit like, what happens if I do just fall over in the aisle? That's going to be very embarrassing. But actually, as I say, because the day just felt so joyous and so full of love, it just wasn't a concern. Next question is, were you nervous for your first dance with everyone watching you? Okay, so this is a little bit linked to what I've just said. I was a little bit nervous for the first dance, mainly because we had only done the choreographing the day before. I say choreographing very loosely. It was basically a few turns and some flappy arms and then a spin thing. But I was a bit nervous. But actually, the moment the music started and we were just kind of doing the little sway that we were doing at the start, and we did that first little turn, I just got really lost in the moment. And because the choreographing was incredibly simple, there wasn't too much to have to be nervous of. I do think having something for us to do made it better than if we'd just been swaying. I think if we'd spent a minute just swaying in front of all those people, I think I'd have felt a lot more nervous than actually having the dance. So yeah, I think that's that. Next question is, did everything go according to plan or schedule? Any unexpected changes, funny mishaps? Oh, okay. So for some remarkable reason, the actual wedding day and the vast majority of the weekend went completely and utterly to plan. Like, genuinely, I don't really understand how it went so smoothly, but it did. At one point in the day, my bridesmaids were like, it's going really smoothly. And we were all like, oh, touch wood, like, yeah, it is. It really is. And that continued. The only mishap was that basically for the Friday night, which was the first night in the house after the wedding with bridesmaids and groomsmen, I had ordered some donuts from Donuts. It's a company that started in Nottingham. They make incredible donuts. I love them. And so I'd ordered basically a selection of donuts from them for us to have at the house. Now we had to collect those, and as it so happened, one of my bridesmaids had the job of going to collect them. She did that, and then randomly on the Friday, and Andrew and I were just doing our own thing, separate from everyone who was kind of getting the house all ready and sorting all the bits out, had a phone call from Donuts that said, "Really sorry, but I think you've collected the wrong order." And I was a bit like, okay, it's not me that's collected it, it's one of my bridesmaids. What do you want us to do? And they were a bit like, "Oh, do you think you could come back and swap it over?" And we were a bit like, okay, I can try and sort for that. And we did manage to sort it, but it was so funny because I phoned my bridesmaid, it was Katie. I phoned Katie and I said, "I hate to break this to you, but I think you've collected the wrong order." Bear in mind that it was quite a long journey that they had to go on to get this, and they had pretty much come the whole way back, so it was like an hour's drive. And I said, "I think you got the wrong order." And she like got one of the boxes and she opened it. She was like, "Oh, they look like that." I was like, no, I think that box is right. That sounds right. What about the other box? Because there was two big boxes. She opened the other box and she's like, "Happy birthday, Frank." We were like, yeah, I think that's not the right one. So we had basically been given Frank's birthday donut. And I think it was like it said like his 72nd birthday or something. So basically we managed to get it sorted and get the correct donuts, and it all worked out okay in the end. But that was probably the only mishap, and it was just very funny. That moment where Katie was like, "Happy birthday, Frank," and I was like, "Nope, that's not ours." So yeah, really, when you think about it, for all the things that could potentially go wrong when you're planning such a big event, that's a nothing, but it was quite funny. So yeah, that's the one thing that didn't go to plan. Next one, was it a more traditional style seated meal or a buffet type? Okay, so what we actually had for the main meal, it was sat down, but it was a feast style meal. So it almost got served to the table in big bowls, and then or to each table in big bowls, and everybody got to kind of pick from the bowls and make their own plates from that. So I think it was kind of a mix between the two. It was a sit down, but there was that almost buffet style kind of social element to it of being able to have the different things and passing it around. And we went for it because one, the menu for that was amazing, and also we just thought it was quite a nice vibe. It's very like the way in which Andrew and I like to eat, very kind of social, lots of stuff on the table, and you pick different bits and you make plates. And if we have people over for dinner, we'll often cook like that we have lots of different things out and everyone can just pick and choose and make and do. So it kind of mirrored a lot of how we like to eat. I just love that social element, and as I say, the menu was incredible as well for it. So that's what we did food wise. Did you have a theme to work towards? Decoration, flowers, colours, also beautiful. Oh, thank you. To be honest, I was asked this quite a few times in the run up to the thing where people were like, "What's your theme?" And I was like, colour and us. Like, that was the theme. I wanted it to be as us as we could possibly make it. So nothing glitzy and glam, really kind of some homegrownness, fun, joy. Like, I just wanted it to be with a bit of climbing stuff in there. And I'll put a picture up if I can of the climbing things that we made for the tables that were just, they were very frustrating to make, I won't lie, but they came out so well. I was so pleased with them. And just little bits of us, and we had a little quiz on the table as well that was all like rolled up, and it was really funny because it was done as like a crossword bit, and one of the questions was which of Emily and Andrew's cats is the best. And it's a bit of a standing joke that Andrew is so in love with Nora and has always been just so in love. Not that he doesn't like Tika, but he is so in love with Nora. And so I've always been like Team Tika, and it's kind of just rolled from there. So that Andrew was like, "Oh, best cat's Nora," and I was like, "Best cat's Tika." And obviously it's all a bit of a joke. We love them both. But it was just really funny that we got to have one of the questions as which of Emily and Andrew's cats is the best, and it was that the last letter counted, so you could actually put either. So it was really funny. And when people came up to us like, "Oh, we think we've worked out what the secret word is," the secret word was nachos, because of course. when they brought that to us, we were like, which cat did you put? Oh, you put no, sorry, that's the wrong. You've got it wrong. It was really funny. So yeah, the theme was colour, and especially with the flowers. I was blown away by the flowers. I literally said to the florist, I want loads of colour and not too much greenery, and especially no eucalyptus. And they smashed it. They absolutely. I've never seen flowers so beautiful in my whole life. I wished I could have just frozen them in time, you know, and I know you can dry flowers out, but they're just never quite as beautiful, and they just were so beautiful, so colourful, so lush, so everything. I was blown away by the flowers, and they hit the theme. When I said colour, they hit it hard because it was so bright and beautiful, and oh, just loved it. Did you get much sleep the night before? Oh, that's a good question. You know what? We went to bed quite late because the night before it was actually just my mum, dad and my sister. Bridesmaids arrived really early on the morning, and I wanted it like that. I just wanted a really intimate night before, and we just sort of stayed up and we were chatting and things, and I think we probably went to bed at like not long before midnight, that kind of time. So I actually fell asleep because we'd had quite a busy day of getting things to the house we were staying at, and Andrew and I had been to the venue and dropped off some bits in the day, and we'd had quite a busy, exciting day. So I think when I went to bed, I fell asleep really, really easily, which I was nervous. I thought I wasn't going to, but I did. I did, however, wake up at like just gone 5, and I could not fall back to sleep. I was so awake. It was one of those days where, a bit like Christmas, where you wake up and you're like, the day, yes. So no, I woke up very early, but actually it didn't matter too much at all. I mean, we were awake at 2 o'clock the following morning, as in like we stayed up from 5 a.m. kind of the whole day. The party, we finished the wedding at midnight, and then we went back to our place and we were just opening presents and cards, and it was really nice, and probably didn't go to bed until like 2 o'clock. So actually didn't matter at all. I wasn't tired one bit. I think I was just so excited for the day that my body was like, right, let's go, let's get married. So yeah, that's that one. Was getting ready in the morning stressful? Were you ready on time? You know what? Actually, it wasn't stressful at all. I won the award, according to my hairdresser, who was lovely. I won the award for saying I'm just so excited the most, more than any other bride she'd ever met, because I was just so excited, and I was really having to sort of ground myself in each moment and really be like, this bit, like this bit right now, this bit with the croissants going in the oven, and this bit with my hair being done, and this bit with just the photographer arriving, and this bit with the flowers being delivered. I was really trying to touch in with every single moment rather than my excitement letting the day kind of like run away with me. So no, I didn't actually find it stressful at all. I don't think anybody did, actually. There wasn't really an energy of stress at any point, which was really nice. And this is where I say, when one of the questions earlier was, you know, did it all kind of go to plan? And it really did. It ran really smoothly, and we definitely were there on time. We had a VW camper van that came to pick us up. So all the bridesmaids and myself, we went in this camper van, and it was so good. And yeah, that arrived spot on time, and it drove us, and we got there well in time to go in for me to have my little meeting before with the registrars before we kind of walked down the aisle. So yeah, very on time. Not a question, your wedding dress is gorgeous. Oh, thank you so much. I have to admit, I adored and adore it. Both of them, actually, but especially the second one. It felt like a fairy tale to wear it. It just, the colour, the flowers, it's just so beautiful in every way. And I actually worked with the designer to change the straps, because the way they'd got the sleeves was just, it just didn't work for me. I felt like the dress was so beautiful, and then it had these like little puffy cap sleeves, and they just didn't work for me. I tried it on and would think, oh, it's so beautiful, shame about the sleeves. And so I spoke to them, and we worked together to design it so that we'd like unpick the material and take the flowers and turn the flowers into the straps. And at the back where the flowers were, they almost looked a bit 3D because of the way that the lace like just curled slightly at the edges. And oh, it just was amazing. Genuinely, when I went and tried it for the final time on the collection, that was when I saw the straps, and I'd kind of made quite a bold decision when they were like, are you sure, because we can't go back from this? I was like, do it, because I think it's going to be amazing. And when I collected it, I was speechless. I could not put into words how beautiful it was, and I just felt like our edit to the sleeves had revolutionized it. I felt like, oh my goodness, it has elevated this dress to a whole new level. So next question is, what was your biggest challenge with the whole process? I think maybe trying to really stay present in each moment. I think because I was just so excited at each bit, like both my hen dos and then the whole wedding process, the day before, the day of, the weekend, I was just so excited that I think maybe one of the challenges I had to keep checking in with myself on was just to pause and to take each moment and to go, yeah, okay, enjoy this moment right now, this moment right now. So yeah, I think that's probably was my biggest challenge from it. Out of all of your guests, who was your favourite 26-year-old blonde male groomsman speech giving guest? Sam? That is absolutely a question from you. And I mean, I have to say, Sam. Sam, you did a great job at being a 26-year-old blonde male groomsman who gave an amazing speech. So thank you for that. Next question. Did you ever imagine that you would marry one day? Yeah, I think so. I think I always thought that it would be something that was on the cards for me. I wasn't necessarily in a mad rush to do it, and I didn't feel like it was if I don't do this, then if I don't do this, then it's not going to be okay, and if I don't do this, then my life won't be accomplished. But I did definitely always see it as something that I would do eventually. So yeah. Next question is, how did you guys meet? So we met whilst I was at university, and I was part of the university climbing club, and at the centre that was in Northampton, where I went to university, there was one climbing centre, and that's where the climbing club met. And Andrew was somebody who went to that climbing centre. He wasn't at the university, but he just went along, and I became part of a quite big friendship group that was not linked to the university club, and Andrew was part of that friendship group, and we went to a few different parties together, and we just met up and we became friends. We spent quite a lot of time hanging out, and it kind of just grew from there, really. It's amazing to think back that that was kind of like 6 years ago that we first met, and yeah, now I can't possibly imagine my life without him. It's crazy. So yeah, that's how we met. Who's your favourite bridesmaid? That's a mean question, Katie. All of you. Every single one of my bridesmaids. I had my sister. She was kind of my chief bridesmaid. And then I had Katie, who I have known since infant school. We have so many wonderful memories going back in so many ways. I swear actually we basically lived together pretty much our entire childhood. Like if Katie wasn't at my house, I was at Katie's house. I also had Rosie, who again, a friend right back from infant school. We have a lot of funny memories going back. She is absolutely wonderful. And then also Bronya, who I met through ballroom dancing, who is just the most wonderful human being. Like she is fabulous in every single way, and just the most I just love them all. I can't pick a favourite. I really can't. And they all did such a good job. They all did such an amazing job, whether it was like dealing with issues that came up in the day with people's questions, to flapping it's not called flapping, I don't know what the word is, but foofing my dress so that it looked nice in photos, to getting bits of confetti out of my hair and everywhere. Not everywhere. But just generally, they were amazing from start to finish. They all looked incredible. We had such a laugh together, and then the whole weekend was so good. Like the whole weekend we got to all spend together in this big house in the Peak District, and just every moment of this entire thing has been incredible, and I feel so grateful to be able to wrap up such a special once in a lifetime thing in such a incredible way. I feel so lucky to be able to have this, as that's the memory, nothing can ever, like, that's the memory I get to carry now for the rest of my life, and the thing that we'll be talking about in 10-20 years time when we reflect. And it just feels like such an honour. What did your recovery buddies say when they saw you smile and be free? I know that all of the people who knew about my recovery journey, my struggles with an eating disorder and my journey to complete freedom from it, I know that not just on the wedding day, but in every way in life, that there is a lot of love sent my way and a lot of happiness, that this has been something that I have fought for and achieved. And also I get some really lovely messages of pride in the hard work that I put in, and also the fact that I have turned this experience, this journey of mine, into something where I now help other people. I sense that very much from my family. I sense it very much from my nearest and dearest friends, particularly like Katie, Alice, and my mum, etc. Those people who are really close to me right the way through all the stages. There is a lot of love there, and it feels wonderful. It felt wonderful at all the points in which I was able to share that freedom, but particularly on a day like this, there are those moments in life where you reflect and you think, gosh, it's so good to be free. And this whole experience of being married, and the hen do's and the parties and the celebration and the planning and the day itself and the weekend, there were definitely moments throughout each of those where I would touch base with, I'm so glad, I'm so grateful to the me who fought to be free, because this would be so different with an eating disorder, and I'm so grateful that I'm not with that. Next question is, what did you like the most, preparing it or having it? Ooh, this is difficult, because I think actually the preparation is kind of all part of it. It's that build up on the way towards the day, and that actually my hen do's, they all kind of, they were close enough to the day that it was all starting to build, collecting the dresses, you know, having those final meetings with the florist and the venue, and planning the last bits and the songs and the music for different parts, and making the little climbing figurine things for the tables. And then on the day before, Andrew and I got to go and like lay out the tables, because the venue didn't have a wedding the day before, and that was so fun. I had such a good time, like going to the venue, putting all the little favors out. It was just so good. So it's really hard, because I feel like all of the preparation built up to the enjoyment, and then having it was like the icing on the cake. I think if I had to pick one, it would be the actual having it, because I cannot put into words how joyous that day was, that weekend. I can't put into words, but I'm very aware that it's all of the preparation that really laid the foundation for that, both in actually making it possible, but also in building up the emotion and the excitement for the day. So yeah, it's a good question, that one. Next question is, are you going on honeymoon? We are actually flying on the 31st, and we're going to Austria for, basically we're spending 4 nights in Vienna, and then I think it's 6 or 7 nights that we are in a chalet that's kind of out in the mountains, and I cannot wait. Like, we are both so excited, and I actually think it's been really nice where we've had this little bit of a gap between the wedding and the weekend and the honeymoon, because it means that there's been a little bit of a time to decompress, to process all of that, and then to get excited again for the honeymoon. So I actually think that's been really nice, rather than just going straight from the wedding straight into the honeymoon. Do you want kids? Good question. I think if I was to be made to choose right now, I would say no. I want lots of dogs. Lots and lots of dogs. I want all of the puppies, and lots of cats, maybe a goat, maybe a horse, lots of animals. I don't know about kids. Like I say, if I had to choose right now, I would say no. It's a huge responsibility. It changes your life dramatically in so many ways. And I wouldn't say that at the minute it's something that I feel I need to do or overly want to do. I am also aware, though, that I think having had an eating disorder for, you know, a good sort of 7-8 years over my, I think it started basically when I was like 17, 18. It ran all the way through until I was kind of 25. There is a lot of developing that goes on in those years, a lot of freedom, a lot of travel, a lot of going here and doing that, and all that fun and that freedom. And I think I missed out on that. So I'm also aware of the fact that it could be that I'm just really loving that now. And I'm really loving the fact that I don't have loads of commitments. I don't have lots of responsibilities. I get to work and enjoy my work and really like plow forwards in my career. I get to do my hobbies, go on traveling, see people, have friends. It's a very kind of fun time in my life where I'm really prioritizing play and excitement. And I don't necessarily see children in this phase of my life. Maybe that will shift and change. Maybe. I'm open-minded. I'm certainly not kind of saying absolutely not, never. But as I say, if I had to lean in a direction at the minute, it would be a no. But I also very much know that children can bring a great amount of joy. So we'll see. What was your favourite moment? You looked amazing, so happy. Thank you so much. I also have to say now, another really special moment for me is our last song was Don't Stop Me Now. And at the very, very end, like all of the people who were on the dance floor, we were all arms around each other in a big circle. And the guy who was doing the music, basically we were all singing at the top of our lungs. And on the very last bit, he like turned down the actual song in the background. So the music faded and it was just us singing I Don't Want to Stop It. Like, it was just so, oh, so good. It makes me feel like all tingly just thinking about it. We just all in that circle together and we were like, don't want to stop at all. And like, oh, it was good. So that was another really, really special moment. Was marriage something you knew you wanted before starting recovery, or did you start to consider it more as you came close to being fully recovered? Good question. A bit like I said earlier, I think marriage was always something that I'd thought would be something would happen. I think inside my eating disorder, priorities shifted. What I felt I was interested in shifted. My desire to commit to relationship, my desire to prioritize relationship shifted. My ability to build that really strong connection shifted. So I knew background I wanted it, but it was something which maybe got a little bit put on hold because of my journey with my eating disorder. But then very much kind of in the last stages, I knew very much that Andrew was the person, like he's the one. And then, yeah, having fully recovered, when he asked me, I was fully recovered and there was not a second of hesitation. Like, absolutely, it was a yes. So yeah, I think that was one where there's no clear-cut answer, but that's kind of the general trajectory of things. What my top 3 memories from the day? Oh, I've got to think of a third one now. So I've said the first one about walking down the aisle. The other one was like everyone, the very, very end of the night, like all singing together. And then the next one, I think probably just in general getting ready with all my girls in the morning. I don't know if I can pinpoint a particular bit of that, but it was all the anticipation, and it was having my family and then my girls there, and we were just all together. Hair was being done and Alice did my makeup. That was a really special moment. Like, we just went into this little side room and Alice did my makeup, and it was just like a quiet moment of peace with all the background noise of everyone talking and laughing and getting ready, and the joy of when the flowers arrived. Like, it was something else. And yeah, I think that's probably it. There's so many special moments, like, but I think that's probably, if I had to pick a number 3, that's probably it. What are you doing? Oh, honeymoon. I've already said about that. So yeah, honeymoon, we're going to Austria. Really excited. We've got a few plans. They've got some beautiful castles. They've also got the Spanish riding school. Not entirely sure why the Spanish riding school is in Vienna in Austria, but I'm sure I'll find that out. But they have got the Spanish riding school. I'm going to go and see that. We're thinking probably a spa day as well. And then when we are out in the mountainous area, there is a famous Via Ferrata I really want to go and do. And Via Ferrata is basically like aided climbing in the mountains, but they have this big steel ladder called the Sky Ladder, this really famous one, and it just looks amazing, and that's what I'd like to go and do. And then also they've got some amazing scenery around there, and I just want to go for a swim and read books and chill out and go for nice meals and just ponder and explore and drive around in our little hire car and go to some really beautiful panoramic view spots. I don't know, we haven't got loads of plans, and I think that's the way that we quite like it. We've got like a few things, but generally we're just going to turn up, explore, go to the places that we maybe see and we think, oh, that looks good, let's go in there. So yeah, that's the loose plan. So that brings me to the end of this video. It is very, very long, and I really apologise. I'm going to try and cut things down, but you know what? I might just share this because I wanted it to be as authentic as possible and as real in terms of my answering, and I had a lot to say because it was an amazing day and you all had lots of wonderful questions for me. So thank you so much to anyone who's actually listened to this whole thing, or to anyone who's just listened to bits and bobs of it. Thank you so much. Your love, your support, it really does mean the world to me on this channel. And do let me know in the comments below if you've got any questions for me to answer or any topics that you'd like me to discuss in future videos. And I'm open to all sorts of suggestions, whether it's recovery related or whether it's recovered related or whether it's kind of self-discovery and self-adventure related. Like, anything and everything, let me know. Thank you again so much. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you have a wonderful day. Till the next time. Bye.